and Joe Fisher, Rashad Taylor across the faux marble table, Jordan Schultz across the real glass in the studio across from us.
Bro,
What's good? What's
we need,
good?
We need real taglines.
What do you mean?
Well, so
Oh, because they do the whole
yeah,
what
when
it
rock
do
starts,
and,
like everybody has their. We need a thing.
Oh, I have
No.
one, but
We need things.
I say no.
I say what's up, sports
No,
fans.
but Joe,
usually.
you have them. Good morning. That's
Yeah, see, there
that's
you
your
go.
thing.
And
You
I
got a
actually-
thing.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean that's just saying good morning.
No, but the
That's
way
not a
you say
thing.
it, you don't say like, "Hey, good morning, guys." Like it's Joe and Rashad.
It's a
Like,
radio. What are you?
it's
what am I gonna
very,
do?
there's a lot of. It's funny. Like right before we start the show, this is for everybody that's behind the scenes, right? And even those watching us on YouTube,
Yeah.
right now, right?
That's a
We are
first
here.
time. It took a little bit, took a little while,
Hey.
but we here. We're live.
The
tired.
conversation before we all start the show was pretty like, "Hey man, what'd you do last night?" "Oh man, just hung out and hung out with the lady or went to had some."
Rashad just ripping apart local businesses in here. Before the show.
We're gonna get into it though. But and then as soon as the red light comes on, because now everybody can see there's a red light right here that lets us all know that we're on the air, and so that's when every radio personality goes from, "Hey, we're just hanging out backstage," or before we start to, "Hey guys, welcome to our radio show."
Woo!
Good morning.
You got to flip that switch, especially
Yeah.
on a Sunday morning.
It's
Again,
tough.
dude. It's
tough.
I wasn't even like hungover or anything this morning. Like it was just a struggle bus. I was just tired, sleepy Joe today,
Mhm.
trying to get out of bed. It was it was
Sunday
almost
mornings.
impossible.
Sunday mornings are really hard, especially those 8 a.m. shows. Like when the Seahawks decide they want
I
to
got-
selfishly.
I got to check the schedule. We got one of those coming up here soon.
Tight.
Yeah.
But when those games happen and somebody decides that they want to have a national show on the station, or the Seahawks decide they want to play early on a certain day, then we have to be here at 7 something and get ready for the show. And those things, it's tough rolling out. You come from super deep.
Yeah, you say 7 something
me-
as if we're showing up at 7:01. We're getting here at like 7:45 on
Yeah,
those
it's something
days.
like
come
that.
on.
It's
Let's
something
not
No,
like
play
we're
that.
rolling out of bed at 7:01. Let's be honest with ourselves.
The good part is, here's the cope, and this has always kind of been the beauty of football and Sports Sunday, is the fact that the show pretty much writes itself.
And also, it's not a bad thing to wake up on. Listen,
There
there's
are
like,
worse things to do.
there are 2 things I'll wake up early for on Sunday:
Wait a minute, okay?
golf and this show.
Only 2?
I mean,
maybe 3 or 4.
if someone presents to me like a solid breakfast while I'm in bed, like yeah, I'm waking up for
Okay,
that. I'm
okay,
not turning that
Okay,
down.
so 4?
Yeah, there's well, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
okay,
probably
yeah. I'm gonna say there's a couple things I'm gonna wake up a little early for. There you go, man. There's a
Okay.
couple things I'm
You know
definitely.
There's
waking up a
people
little
going to
Talking about-
church right now. All right,
early. I mean, you can play this at
you
At
heathens.
church. You can play this at church-ish.
No, you
You can
cannot.
play it
I
before
hope-
church.
If you play this at church, you're thinking of like the
I
3
pray.
couples that are like secretly swinging with each other. That you know that it's going on, but nobody talks about
This-
it in the congregation.
Listen,
No,
this is a classic
Sounds like an HBO show.
saxophone.
it probably is.
Saxophone solo. And so, yes, I think that kind of translates to any space.
Yes.
If you're at the strip club and just heard Careless Whisper, I don't think anybody's upset about it.
Actually, I kind of want to go to the strip club and see a dance to Careless Whisper now. Let's go.
I don't know if I like went and sat up on the stage, a lady approached the stage pole and I was like, let's go dive into that, see what's happening there. And then I sit down and
You gotta
Careless
pay a lot
And she
Whisper,
more
puts on
to
a
dive
song
into
called I'm
that.
Never Gonna Dance Again.
Careless Whisper starts playing. I'm like, I'm out. Stepping
I don't
back.
know.
Like,
It depends on how
I'm
she's
quite the
doing
opposite.
that. If Careless Whisper is that's a slow grind kind of song,
Yeah.
man. So and it's kind of a long
Listen,
song, so that might be
It's
a good thing.
2023. There's a lot of other songs.
It doesn't
that
matter
I'll-
what the
I'll
length of
suffer
this.
through.
They cut it off at 2 minutes. It doesn't matter what the length of the actual song
Yeah,
is, Rashad.
fair
How
enough.
long has it been since you've showed up to one
Ooh.
of these places?
Here's the cool part. If I ever go to a strip club, it's very seldom for the workers. I'm going for the food. If you're going, who goes to A Crop for the? I mean, shout out to the A Crop, but I'm typically
Okay.
going for steak bites.
I mean,
That's
they're-
what I'm going for.
They're synonymous with the scene now over there. Was it Casa Diablo? It's all vegan.
Casa
or whatever.
Diablo,
is.
which is instantly, I'm like, yeah, pass.
Imagine
No,
if.
it's
Although, shout out to Casa Diablo because it's different. You've been there?
Oh, I've heard.
Oh,
I've heard the
You've been there,
stories.
Yes,
Jordan?
sir.
My
Yes, sir.
gosh.
Yeah, I've heard the stories. Imagine if a stripper walked out to this. Pop me up. Pop me up. All right. Imagine if a stripper walked out to this.
John Tesh, what you mean? I'd love it.
This is
Cause
Star
I'm gonna score and yeah, dunk it.
on the main stage. Give her some dollars. It's
That'd be great.
Star versus Mercedes.
I love it.
On Sunday night
There's
on
not
NBC.
There's not a dude in there that wouldn't be
Jacket
hyped.
to the stage.
There's not a dude in there that wouldn't be hyped.
Or
That comes on and it's like, oh, I'm going straight to the stage.
or you get this. Some NHL theme. Chick comes out in full NHL garb.
You're giving them $1 million ideas right now.
Boys, get ready to see her stick handling.
Do you know that the area behind the goal in between the wall is called the crease? There's a lot of jokes that could be.
Let's be real. Sports has a lot of low-hanging fruit
But
when it
that's
comes
my
to
gosh.
jokes being made.
But
My
that's
gosh.
one of the
Sexual
lowest,
innuendos.
I think. The crease.
The
Come
crease.
on. Actually, was talking about that last night at the Christmas party.
Fellows, get ready to see her work the crease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
comes
It's
the
just too easy.
Mew.
It's too easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of pause moments in sports as far as just the
Oh.
things that we end up saying. And now that we're more cognizant of it, it's like, oh, wait a
Golf,
minute.
I
That
think-
does sound a little strange, doesn't it?
Golf has to be the number one suspect in this. Like balls, shafts, holes.
Yeah.
Probably.
I feel like bogey could also be a double
Well, and
entendre
let's just be
for
real.
a couple of things.
Golfers are degenerates. We want to act like
Yup.
you guys aren't because, and I say you guys because you're one of those guys, Joe. We want to act
Me?
like, yeah, we want to act like you guys aren't because golf is such a pristine
You
sport
dress up
and everything. You have to
nicely.
dress up in the
It's
cool,
the Masters.
nice polo and stuff like that. But you guys are basically D-Generation X back there.
Imagine a stripper coming out to this.
Hello, friends.
I would stay.
What the hell?
I would stay for this.
You like
This
where
has
is
your
this
attention?
going?
I'd be like, dude, if she brings out a pimento sandwich,
Are you a fan?
hello, friends.
You know, usually I'm not a fan of strippers and food, but in this case, with the
Then-
pimento sandwich from
yeah.
the Masters,
She brings out the full Masters spread with her.
$1.50 each.
A Masters themed strip club.
I think
Yeah.
you.
Or
I think there's
a golf themed strip club.
I think there's a market for anything that has the word strip club.
Simulator, stripping bay. Simulator, stripping bay.
I like it.
I think you've
I mean,
Kinda
I think you're
stumbled onto
talking too
something
much
this
and giving
morning.
away too many ideas for free.
yeah. Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. If I just created a $1 billion business idea, I mean, you could sell that to countries in the Middle East. You got executives flying in from all over the world into the United Arab Emirates, the Saudi countries. You're telling me I can go to a simulator? It's 120 degrees out. I can't golf. So go to the simulator and strip club all in the same place.
I mean, that's a whole day.
boom.
That's a whole day. Like, why not? I think you're onto something. I think we should pull our funds together and try to figure out how we can make this happen.
Put a weed dispensary in that.
And in
same
Portland-
block
and in
you're
Portland,
just-
you tell
got
me-
this full bore. Let's get full degenerate with it.
You
know?
tell me a better place than Portland to put out something like a golf simulator and strip club all at the same place. Golf and stripping, like, come on, man.
mean, they
in
need
Portland,
to-
who has more bars and strip clubs per capita than anybody.
They need to
In this
improve
rainy
the-
weather, you got the simulators. We know they're a hit. We love X golf, right?
I mean, they need to improve the area around the Moda Center.
Don't get me started on the Moda Center. I have a whole don't
This
do
was
that,
this,
bro.
This was this whole thing about Rashad bashing local businesses.
Bro.
I cannot believe you.
Hey man, listen. And this isn't maybe it is the Blazers. I don't know. This probably is the Blazers because they work at the Moda Center.
Rashad's going full Karen.
Yo,
today.
yes, absolutely, man, absolutely. I want to talk to the manager immediately. 'Cause,
I am. She says she are the manager.
yeah, so listen. Go to the game on Wednesday. Both losses for the Blazers. No shock.
No
there,
surprise.
right?
What?
But on Wednesday, and I forget who they played Wednesday. I can't remember. But I saw there was a 25-year ticket holder that was there. There's been a ticket holder since 1998 or something like that. And
So he doesn't like his money?
I guess not. I guess not. And
Good for
so
him, though. I mean,
what they did to
Or
honor
lost to the
this
Cavs, by
season
the way.
ticket holder of 25 years is they
A
gave them
t-shirt.
close. They gave them
I'm
a,
a 25-year season ticket holder, and all I got was this T-shirt.
a wooden Blazers jersey cutout that had every Blazers signature
You
on it.
left that out this morning when we were talking about
That's
this.
worth 25 years of how many thousands of dollars has that That, and mind you, not just that's just to get in the game. That doesn't count. That isn't, counting how much food we
Well, that's
might
a
get, or how
personal
many drinks
choice.
we might get.
That's a personal choice.
I get it.
I mean,
I
that's
get it.
usually a way they honor those people, though, is something signed.
Do
by
more.
the team.
Okay, something signed, but I mean, seriously, do more. For all the thousands
Run
of
'em down
dollars
to the
I've given you, we can do
half
more. And then
court.
here's the thing that really got me.
You sound like Dame. Treat me better.
Treat me better. Oh,
All these years I've given you, it's like, listen, you got a service. You paid for the
exactly.
ticket,
I'm
the
paying
seats.
for a service. Like, you're not. If you're different, if you were paying me to come to the game, I'm not going to complain.
So Scoop be
right?
taking him out to dinner or something?
No, of course not. However, maybe you give me a season for free, or maybe you give me half a season for
Yeah,
free.
right.
Maybe
Yeah,
you just give me
I like
certain
that.
premium games for free or something like that. Like, that's fine. You don't have to give me a whole season.
You lost me
But
at free.
If the
What does
Lakers,
that mean?
exactly, if the Lakers are coming, if the Knicks are coming, something like that, man, those tickets should be free for you for that time. Whatever. Here's the thing that really got me though. You know how they do like a whole section 1 something? So section 323, you just won.
Yes, correct. And they show them all. And
Like
they
a
give
row wins a whole
If
box
you'd
of
have seen,
pizza.
and this is
Yeah,
on Friday
something
night
like
at the Laker game. So you did this in front of the Lakers, number 1, which is already embarrassing enough. We're getting bashed. And then they gave a roll, Mission Impossible DVDs.
that. Oh,
And
God.
we all looked at each other when they said, "We've got Mission Impossible DVDs for you." We all
You
looked at
mean
each other like,
the-
"What?"
like the newer Mission Impossible on like a 4K disc, right?
No, I don't.
Is Brandon Roy still playing for the Portland
I was gonna say,
Trailblazers?
what?
Man,
I'm
Did
looking
they
up.
just draft LaMarcus Aldridge? Because that's when DVDs were popular.
I'm looking up the
last.
Blazers promo night schedule. I don't know if they have that, but it wasn't 90s night or
No, it was like
Scientology night.
it was, it was tournament night. So one of those. But yeah, so that's just as bad, I suppose.
Don't say too much. They'll
But,
come for us, dude.
bro,
Don't say too
Do you
much.
understand how frustrated? Everybody in the crowd was like, "What?" And then even the people getting the DVDs were kind of passing them down, like, "Are we supposed
you
to
want
be
this?
happy
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
this?"
we
Like,
get-
Do you
and
want this?
This might be left under my seat when
you
I
can see
leave.
people looking like, "Where are we supposed to play this? Like, what are we supposed to do with this?"
Is
I'm
Mark
like, "Come on,
Mason
Blazers."
still the Blazers PA guy?
Yes, he
Yes.
is.
Fans, stop throwing the Mission Impossible DVDs
I can
onto the
almost-
hardwood.
I can almost guarantee. How about
Please
this?
stop throwing the DVDs.
They
onto
gave
the
away
court. Thank you.
DVDs, but then they want their beer cups back.
Oh yeah. Oh, are they aluminum this
No,
year?
they're like plastic, and they're kind of cool. They're Rip
What?
City. Yeah, they want their beer cups like they're reusable cups. Guess who took their cups?
You did.
You're not getting these back.
Yeah, of
These are
course.
mine now.
Damn.
Sorry, Blazers. You owe me for nothing.
Dude.
And I had tickets in the 200 level, so it's like, okay,
Dude, here's just
Kind
a
of a
small
pretty-
business
pretty
trying to
penny.
make its way in the city of
Small
Portland.
business.
I know, right?
And Rashad is just ripping them a new
Yes,
one.
my Yelp review, not positive.
You know, Joe, I hate to pile on here with Rashad, but Rashad, I'm with you. The service, the customer service aspect, the Blazers to fans connection, in my opinion, there's a couple of ways
It's
the team
insane.
could. It's not great, but really the Moda Center and specifically just the way that you go around trying to get your food, trying to get your drinks, access to stuff, it's terrible, and it has
they
been
don't
terrible
accept cash, which
for
is
a decade and a half.
which is
So
becoming
I
more.
agree with you.
They don't accept cash, which is becoming more and more understandable based on COVID and based on everything. Like, okay, hands free, paper free, and everything like that. That's cool. But let's say you're anything like me and you happen to forget your card, at the house accidentally, and only have cash at that point. Then you have to find the kiosk, and the beer is like it costs like $43 for 3 beers. I'm still trying to figure out how that math is mathing, but
And
it
on
doesn't
top of
work.
that, it's hard.
and they have Dasani there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, gross. Like, you gave me the worst water that you can possibly give me.
Dude,
No,
come
I
on.
love
come on.
Dasani. No, it's just harder to get a beer in the premium areas than it is like the general. It's weird. They have more bars out for the general public than they do down at courtside up in the 200 level club level.
Get it
It's
together.
weird.
Get it together, Moda.
Well, Rashad, welcome to the 21st century and realizing that the Moda is all
I don't-
cashless
I don't
now,
like it.
So.
I don't like it.
T-Mobile's the same way, man. When
Yeah.
you go to, I don't know if they have the reloadable cards.
Get with
now.
it, Rashad.
Yeah, no, I got it now. I got one of the cars just in case it happens again. But damn, it was something.
All right, we got a lot to get to. As the Vancouver Ford text line said, get to the Beavers choke job. We all want to hear about it. Oh, come on, that's a low
Ouch.
blow. Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
but-
Ducks game was a little more boring than the Beavers game. that's for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, listen, we got a few paths we can go down. We obviously have the Ducks, we have the Beavers, Washington State game, we have all the Pac-12 to go over. We got a bunch of NFL stuff. We also have some national college landscape things to go over because there were some things on and off the field that happened over the last few days. in college football that has maybe changed the outlook a little bit. So we'll take a look at that. We got Who Do You Love in the second hour, which I'll ask Rashad and Noodle on this. Are you interested in moving it to the first hour so that way we can slide in these 10 a.m. games?
I like it.
To choose on.
Let's do that.
We'll do that at 9:45 then.
Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, I think it's only right to start with the biggest game in the Pac-12 yesterday, and that was the Oregon State Beavers taking on the Washington Huskies in Corvallis. Boy, a lot to get to on this one. You can text in 503-864-6FAN. That's 503-864-6326, Vancouver Ford text line. All texts go to the Vancouver Ford text line. Dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. Treat you right before, during, after the sale. Visit vancouverford.com. Words, read, done. Football?
Let's do it.
Football.
Football?
Let's do it.
Beavers, Huskies last night. Let's get to it. Football Sunday, 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for a DUI,
like the slapstick, no voice comedy shows, you know, like the first movies. Like,
Mhm.
how dumb. Those are like a pie in the face.
Yeah.
Three
The
Stooges.
Who's on first bit had people in stitches.
Hey, that's a
What's
good one.
on
though.
second?
It's a great though. It's a good one.
It's not so much the comedy; it's more so the execution.
Hmm.
What is that? Abbott and Costello, I believe.
Yeah, but that was like, top of the line humor at this point. I think people would still laugh at that today, depending on who was delivering it. But still,
It's a classic. It's a classic. I actually watched it like within the last month. It's a good little routine.
Nicknames. Who's on first? I don't know. Who's on third? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good one.
Like I said, it's all in the execution. But when you're playing in a wet, sloppy, torrential downpour in Corvallis, execution can be a problem.
Yikes.
And we saw that in the first half last night.
segue master.
Boom.
Look at you.
Hey, remember, Jordan, what we were saying before the show. This is a radio broadcast first and foremost. Get these cameras out of here, okay?
It's professional.
But dear God, that was a mess in that first half, especially as far as the rain goes. I mean, we had a long snapper snap the ball over the punter's head, where he then booted it out of the back of the end zone to take the safety. That was adorable. We had a fumble.
That's the ultimate panic.
Oh, dude, I don't blame him at all. I mean, smart move there.
Oh no, that was the move.
Yeah,
A
you
couple
didn't
people
have a
said-
choice.
Couple
It's
people said there was
2 or
al-
7.
If
2 or
me,
6,
I'm scooping that up, juking those guys out.
You're gonna do a mad move. You're gonna run all the way
around.
around the field, and yeah.
Well, no, there was an argument that like in the end zone he could have tried to push it out. It's like, yeah, but then there's still a percentage of a chance for 7 for them.
Yeah,
no,
exactly. No.
get the 2,
Yeah.
kill the chance for 7.
And then there was a fumble followed by a fumble like immediately after. Like these guys couldn't hold on. I think Michael Penix at one point in the first had like 8 or 9 straight incompletions. Like it was
Couldn't
just
hold on to the damn ball.
Oh, and
Yeah,
it was
hard.
I loved it. I loved every second of that first half. I think I tweeted out at one point, like, I was like, dude, this is quintessential Pacific Northwest football at this point in the season, because it was right after Washington had fumbled the ball. They got to what on their on that run to is it Dylan Johnson, the running back for Washington?
Yes.
He got that 50, 60-yard run down to the 5-yard line, gets the ball like punched out, slips out, and then the Beavers get the ball. Play or two later,
played, yeah.
they fumble the ball, and I'm like, this is insane. Like I was like, give me all of this. Give me all of this. It was we can get to the second half and how that executed, but just that first half alone with how that was playing out, I was like, oh my God. Like, of course it comes down not just to this game, but these conditions and this mess of what's happening out here. It's hard because you want to see these games played like at these athletes' best and where they can execute, they can catch the ball, run the ball. But for the most part, watching that was entertaining as hell.
A lot of sloppy play in the first half, but not. I don't want to say it was based on execution. It was wet and
Yeah,
sloppy
I mean-
out there, and so you saw a lot of not just a lot of missed passes by Michael Penix Jr., but there were a lot of missed interceptions by the defense, like balls that were just passes that were just bouncing just right out of their hands.
You're gonna do it to yourself.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Professional,
absolutely.
reel
all
it.
the time. Yeah. But so I thought that the Beavers had a few chances to kind of change things. You saw the fumble, and then like a play and a half later, 2 plays later, Washington gets the fumble, and that kind of changed things a little bit from there. But Michael Penix Jr. never really looked comfortable in that game, even though he did have 2 touchdowns through the air. Still, if you look at his stats, this is the worst game that he's had this year.
Yeah, I
and
think
his
he
whole
finished
Heisman run,
13 of 28, and I understand, like, again,
160 some odd yards. Like, it wasn't the game. Like, if you look through his stats for the last few weeks, 300 yards, beginning of the season, his 400-yard games, but this was a game that looked really sloppy. Like, if not for Damian Martinez for the Beavs, this gets out of hand real quick, because he was really the one that kept them in the game. The Beavs couldn't pass the ball. Receivers couldn't really catch. Damian Martinez was the only thing that you really had going for you. He was the best player on the field last night for either team. And, that safety really changed everything, because that doesn't happen. You're talking about possibly a tie game and going into overtime.
I mean, this score's 22-20, final score, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, those 2
That's what it
points
was.
they mattered.
And can I emphasize, by the way, that the Heisman is completely
over.
100,000% all about. Well, it's over because it is all about style points.
We'll
And
get to that in
Mhm.
the second hour.
Okay,
but,
all right. Well,
yeah.
then I'll save my take for that. You know, the Beavs, it was nice to see the effort in the first quarter. You felt they were in the game, and it, wasn't obvious that safety was going to be the difference. But in the back of your head, I was just hoping, like, God, I really hope that's not going to be the difference.
Well, it
And
kind of reminds me a couple
lo
of
and
weeks
behold.
ago with that field goal that Oregon State didn't take at the end of the half against Arizona, I believe. And they don't take that field goal. They try and run a 30, 25-yard play with their kicker to try and score at the end of the half. They don't get that. You lose by 3. So what I think is got to be what kills you if you're the Beavers in this one is you gave up 22 points in the first half. The final was 22-20. So you shut them out in the second half. I mean, these are the possessions for Washington in the second half. Missed field goal, 4 plays, 0 yards. This is after they threw their interception, the Beavers, to start the second half. Beavers go down, score, get a touchdown. You get a missed field goal from Washington, punt, end of game. That was the 4 possessions for Washington in the second half. They accumulated what? I mean, barely 100 yards in that second half, 105 total yards. You had a chance there. You
did.
had a chance.
And
And it was brutal watching at the end, that last possession where it was 22-20. Washington made the stops towards the end. They put him in the 2nd and 12 and the 3rd and 11, and it was just impossible to throw the ball at that point, seemingly.
the penalties also killing them in that field goal drive. I thought they should have had a touchdown, but because, I guess they were lucky to get 3, but that was their opportunity, in my opinion, moving down the field.
Yeah.
It's like, take the damn lead, and then they end up having to settle for a field goal because I think just 2 incomplete passes in a row on like a 2nd and 3rd and long, and it didn't work for them.
Yeah, DJU just wasn't able to, and I'm not going to really blame this on either quarterback. I just think that the conditions out there, it never really stopped raining, and when that's happening,
It cleared up a bit towards the end of the game, but by that
but
point,
still, it was like
just,
it was a wrap. Every time the ball hits the ground, like it gets wetter and wetter. It wasn't the best conditions for anyone. But these are also, like you said in your tweet, this is quintessential Pac-12 football. This is Pacific Northwest conditions. So whether you're in Washington, whether you're in Corvallis or Eugene, more than likely this time of the year, this is probably what you're playing in. And, you got to be able to win ugly sometimes. And I think that's the big thing. I know we talk a lot about style points, but I think there's a lot to be said for winning ugly against a good team and a good defense. Like, those kind of dog fights that you don't really expect. We knew this would be a good game. I don't think anybody expected it to be a 2-point game. Like, I'm not sure what the spread was on the game before it started.
I mean, Oregon State was the favorite.
Yeah, by 2.
all week. It was like 1 and got up to 3 at some point, and then probably ended up around 2. Was probably the final line. But yeah, they were the favorite all week.
So, and that just goes to show. And that, again, shout out to Oregon State,
1.5.
because
Yeah.
a year ago there was no chance Oregon State was going to be favored to win against Washington. And now you fast forward, Oregon State was one of the picks for a lot of people to go to the Pac-12 championship. Like, so Jonathan Smith and this coaching staff and this program have turned things all the way around. You're looking at an Oregon State team that had won 8 games last year. They've won 8 games, and the year's not over yet. They have an opportunity to potentially win 10 or 11 games. 10
it would
games.
be 10 games
10
is
games
the
still.
best that they can do at this point.
So they have
They got the Civil War next week, and then they'll have their bowl game. Those will be their last 2 games of the year.
So 10 games potentially for you to walk away with on the season.
Yeah,
Hell of a year for
but
Jonathan
let's calm down on those prospects. I don't want to be talking about
Well, I mean,
any sort of Oregon
Well,
State
well,
team with
I
10
mean,
wins
we'll-
this year.
we'll definitely talk about the
No,
other team in
no.
Oregon, but I'm saying like last
Let's
year.
not entertain these thoughts. All right,
Hey,
it is
you got
officially
to.
Civil War week.
You
I will
got
not
to
have
because
this,
guess
okay?
what? Guess who's coming in with what's the official like trophy or something between the?
Oh, there used to be like a platypus trophy, and then it
Yeah.
got lost.
What is So what is
somewhere. I don't think there is a trophy.
it now? It's like a weed leaf or something like that. It's like it's the
Just a pot plant.
yeah. This is that's official Oregon tree.
Should
So
be.
yeah, but the Beavs at least have bragging rights. They played a good team, and honestly, let's be real. Against Washington, they were better than Oregon was. let's just be real. Like, I mean,
Oh, I wouldn't go that
I
far.
would.
I
would.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I'd say the conditions
they were a
kinda
safety
contributed to
away. They were a mental mistake away, a safety
Oregon was
away
what?
from potentially.
What was the final score of the
The
Oregon
missed
Washington
field goal away, and Oregon put up way more
Oregon
points on them. but
never looked comfortable in that game, ever.
game? No,
at
that's
any
not.
point.
That's not true.
I didn't
Rashad,
think
go
Oregon
back and
ever
watch that
looked. I don't think Oregon ever looked comfortable in that game. They never felt like they were going to win that game.
They were the better team in that game. You need.
But how when they lost?
That's not.
I get
Rashad,
it, but I mean, how can you be
come
the
on.
better team and losing that game?
You
I don't
can't pull
understand.
that. That is the most.
You can. Two teams
How many
that were
times?
ranked and they're
How
like,
many
yeah.
times have we seen games where like, oh, they were the better team that day, but they lost? It happens all the time.
How does that equate? How does that
happens-
equate?
That happens
Again.
all the time, where teams win and they're like, oh yeah, they shouldn't have won.
Now,
that
if
game.
we're talking about
That
man,
team
if,
lost
if we're
that
talking
game.
about a team that's at the top of the standings and the team that's at the bottom, it's like, oh, any given Sunday, yeah, anybody can win in football. But they're the overall better team. Cool.
Bro, a
but if
couple
you're
weeks
talking
ago, it
about
happened with the Cowboys, I'm
both
like,
teams are comparable and everything like that, and then one of them beats the other, you can't say, well, they were still the better team. No, they
I
lost.
think they were the better team that day.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I would disagree, and that's the awesome thing about these shows is that's the awesome part. We can disagree about that,
And
but
I'm sure our text line that's full of a bunch of Oregon fans would agree with me.
absolutely they
yeah,
would.
Duck Honks will
100%.
chime in and be like, Rashad, what the
100%.
hell are you
You
talking
idiot.
about?
No, but I understand. I still think Bo Nix is the guy, but in that game, Michael Penix Jr. was the guy.
Bo
Was
was-
that dude too?
Go look at the box score.
I
Jesus Christ.
remember, but winning plays, man, and that's what happened. Either way, we're talking about the Beavs now, and they got close but no cigar. And I think everybody, obviously, if you're a Duck fan, you're clearly pulling for the Beavs to win this game, which is a rare thing for Duck fans to do, is to pull for Oregon State. But this
Well,
was an
Ducks fans can
opportunity.
do it. Beavers fans don't. I mean, I was saying last
Why
night.
would you?
I was with a lady friend
I
last
don't
night.
want y'all to do good.
I was with a lady friend last night. I was like, see, this is something that a Duck fan can do. I was like, we can root for Oregon State.
Little brother.
We can put our allegiances aside and root for Oregon State could never. Oregon State
Because-
fans could never
Because
root for the
Oregon is
Ducks.
big brother. Of course they can say, "Oh man, I want the little engine that could to do something." Like,
Listen,
of course.
we'll be the mature fan base, I guess, and we'll meet in the middle of the aisle rather than.
It's like the Clippers being happy for the Lakers, man. I just want somebody from the West to win. No, you don't.
No.
Like, of course not. But the
it's not
Lakers
the
will be
same.
happy if the Clippers won because, oh man,
Damn it!
now it can be a rivalry.
Look
Now it
what
can
you
be
did.
something.
We're up against it. Thanks
Just
a lot,
saying.
dude. I do want to talk a little bit more about this Oregon State Washington game because a team did win and lock up their spot in the Pac-12 championship game. That was the Washington Huskies. So I want to talk about them, their season, and the
Come on,
prospects
Wazoo.
of who they could play in the Pac-12 championship game because their opponent isn't sealed up just yet. So we get to that next on Football Sunday. But first, Jordan Schultz with SportsCenter Update.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, your 6th-ranked Oregon Ducks getting their 10th win of the season last night, beating the Arizona State Sun Devils 49-13 the final. Bo Nix setting a Ducks record with 6 touchdown passes in the first half. Oregon now turning around to get ready for the Civil War on Black Friday. Speaking of the opponent in that game, the Beavs licking their wounds after a 22-20 loss to the Washington Huskies in what was a rainy, wet mess. Michael Penix running for a touchdown, throwing for another. The clincher, though, ended up being a snap over the head of the punter that ended up going for a safety in the first half. In the NFL, the Seahawks in Los Angeles taking on the Rams this afternoon. Seattle a 2-point underdog. Coverage getting going right here on the Fan following Sports Sunday at 11 a.m. Kickoff set for 1:25 on Fox. And in the association, the Portland Trailblazers back in action as well. They are hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Blazers a 6.5-point underdog. I think that's a tasty line right there. OKC can cover that one easily. Tip-off set for 6 p.m. on Root Sports. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Wager on all pro and college games every week at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
One number does it all for contests and texting your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is
We made it.
And then once this hour wraps up, you can also catch us on the Service Patriots podcast. Service Patriots is your home comfort solution for all of your home heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners in at servicepatriots.com/thefan.
And you should know we did our promo for that in one take. Just saying.
Is that true?
I mean, I think it was a take. I don't think we were recording the first time, but
well, it was much better than what I did right there. That's
yeah,
for sure.
but it was pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was one take though.
So yeah, Washington, they win, and they have now officially locked up their spot in the Pac-12 championship game. Washington this year is like the clip from Breaking Bad of Jesse when he's just yelling like, "You can't keep getting away with this." It's every week. It seems like they have a one-possession game and or a one-possession game towards the end of the game, and then they score an extra touchdown to make it like 9 or 10 or 11 points.
They just barely escape in a lot
Oh,
of
dude,
ways.
it's driving me absolutely insane. And was sitting there watching that game last night when it was 22-20. Washington got the ball back. Oregon State had 2 timeouts left. That is one of the worst feelings you can have for a fan base of that like impending doom. Like you're there. You have to pray for an epic F up right here.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's what you have to hope for. And they use the timeout. You get them to 3rd and 3, and then they complete the pass, and you're just like, well, there it is. And then Washington seals it up, escapes Corvallis 22-20. Their undefeated season continues. They're going to the Pac-12 championship. You will get this one and only tip of the cap to say that you have remained undefeated. You've had a great season. Rashad, you mentioned having that resilience in a tough, sloppy game like that.
It's tough.
They've had a lot of games that they've had to fight out towards the end, and they just kind of they're almost like the Eagles in a sense. Like they're just going to wear you down over time, and then you get to that fourth quarter is when they separate themselves.
I know that had to hurt your heart to say that.
Listen, there's Football Joe, and then there's Irrational Fan Joe, all right? And so right now I'm just trying to be Football Joe. I'm trying my damnedest right now.
Well, you're doing a good job, man. You're going to no. I mean,
well, I'm about to throw a chair across the studio. So.
We talk, and really this year more than ever, and I'm it's really much ado about nothing at this point, but Pac-12 football has all of a sudden become respected this year, right?
Oh,
you look at
just in time for
just
a
in time
long
for
future,
it to dissolve, completely
fruitful,
dissolve. So,
long future for the Pac-12.
yeah, and so when Washington started the season, Boise State blowout, Tulsa blowout, Michigan State blowout, and then it wasn't until they really start playing Pac-12 teams, Arizona, who's arguably the best 3-win team or 3-loss team in college football, quite possibly. Oregon, obviously, a 3-point win there. Arizona.
Arizona State,
8-point win there.
That was an ugly one.
Stanford, about a 9-point win there. So every game it gets increasingly closer and closer. And then last night, obviously, Oregon State within 2 points of potentially, playing spoiler and helping out every Ducks fan.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is that margin of victory? 2 points, 7 points, 10 points, 9 points, 8 points, 3 points,
it's
7
couple,
points.
You know what it is? It's a couple mental mistakes. It's a missed snap that goes into the end zone for a safety. It's, all of a sudden an interception thrown with 5 minutes left in the game when that could have been your opportunity to score and bring the score closer or even take the lead. Like, it's a lot of mental mistakes at that point. During blowout games, everything's going right. Bless you, bro.
Well, I'm looking. Thank you for the manners.
Bless you for the loss. Bless you for the sneeze.
Thank you for
Bless
the
you,
honor
Joe.
manners.
You need a lot
It's
of
one
it.
of those things, man. Don't have manners.
I mean, you look at 3 of those W's on their schedule for Washington. I mean, the Oregon one, that is where the coach for the opposing team took the blame for the loss for making coaching mistakes, not taking field goals, taking
Right.
points where they should. You look at last night's Oregon State game. I mean, you give up 22 points in the first half, you allow 0 in the second half. You have that safety, that's the difference. I mean, that's Oregon State's making mistakes that led to possibly the win for Washington. You look at the Arizona State game. They were driving late.
Arizona State.
They were driving late in that game and threw a pick 6 to give
Yep.
Washington that separation. I believe it
that
was
was the difference.
I believe it was 8-7 or something, or 9-7 was the score, something at that point. And Washington got that pick 6, and at that point, that game was over.
And I'll say
So
this.
that's 3 games right there where the opponent does something to F that game up for Washington to take advantage. And hey, if an opportunity presents itself, take advantage of it. Washington has But again, that has been the theme of their season, is just escaping by the skin of their teeth. And it's driving me nuts.
No,
and
I
this is
understand.
where irrational fan Joe comes out. It's making me mad.
And I want to let you guys know, I
understand.
understand what you're saying as far as thinking Oregon is the better team, because I truly believe, if that game that was played 5-6 weeks ago was played yesterday, I think Oregon mops the floor with Washington for the most part. I think Oregon's offense at this point is figured out with who they are. I think their defense has figured out, what they can do on that end. And I don't know if it's as close as the last game, but I think Oregon, because even in the last game, Bo Nix was incredible in the last game. Now, if you think if Oregon's defense can catch up to where their offense were, and their offense continues to make plays, I don't think Washington wins that game. So again, 6 weeks ago, Washington definitely the better team in that game. Fast forward, I think if they play today, or if they play in the Pac-12 championship, I think in a neutral site, I think Oregon wins that game.
Well, it goes to show also that Arizona State game, because, common opponents, right? You want to see how teams fare against the same teams, and obviously it might not be the same environment, but that's where you look at that Arizona State game. That was in Washington. That was in Seattle, and it was 15-7. You just had Oregon go down to Arizona State late in November, which, let's be real, like, I don't care who Arizona State is, how bad they are, what the record is. We have seen what happens when Oregon goes to Arizona
Gets
in
wild in
November.
Tempe.
It is, I hate it. It never
Thank
works
God it
out
wasn't
well.
a night game.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Oh, man.
And so I believe Dirt said that a couple weeks ago. He's like, that Arizona State game I want nothing to do with already, but thank God it's not a night game. And so we're going to get into the Ducks to start hour number 2 to see what Oregon did in Tempe against Arizona State in their house with a lot of high emotions. Former coach, now coaching Arizona State. You want to talk about style points? You want to talk about comparing teams? It's brutal that Oregon's got that one loss against Washington, because when you stack them up against each other right now, it looks like Oregon is playing better football. And I don't think it's quite close.
There are a lot of people that feel like, based on yesterday's games, that Oregon could even maybe leapfrog Washington. I don't think that would happen with Washington being undefeated and having the win over Oregon. But there are a lot of people that said, man, hey, based on, again, style points and what happened last night, Oregon looks like they could be the 5th best team in the country. And it's hard to disagree with that, but it's also hard to put a team with one loss over a team that's undefeated.
Listen, you can go to Vegas, you can go to ALNA, you can go to Spirit Mountain Casino and watch people lose money in a 15-minute time span. But how about you stay right here on 1080 The Fan, because we got Who Do You Love coming up.
We making money over here,
and we're
baby.
going to show you how to lose some money
I'm
in
placing
15
some bets
minutes.
right now, baby.
Who Do You Love next to finish hour number 1 here on Football Sunday? George Schultz, Rashad Taylor, Joe Fisher.
You too.
Right here, 1080 The Fan.
Isaac Ropp here, and if you've been struggling with soggy fall
1080 The Fan.
Joe Fisher here. Got your automatic locks for the week.
You've got that voice.
Critical information
pat.
confirmed.
Or I could be Tim Donaghy.
What is this? Oh, dude,
He can't even read the damn.
what a career
print.
what a career flex for him though. Hey, I got in huge trouble as a referee in the NBA for gambling on sports, and now I'm a professional sports gambling advice dude.
I mean, who knows better than him?
You saw the documentaries that talked about me getting caught. Here are my picks now. I love to go 3-0 on a recorded live.
Titans, Jags. Love it.
I love the vague statements that
Yes.
don't tell me one or the other. Arizona, Houston, absolute lock.
I know
What?
it.
Yeah, what does
What
that mean?
is the
Why?
lock?
Yeah.
You got to call.
No, I'm not calling you.
Yeah, I do not want my phone on any. I mean, I love sports betting, but just any call list in general like that, no, thank you.
You just get that call at 2 a.m. from that guy.
What are you
Who the
doing?
hell is scam likely? Like,
I've
bro.
got locks. Why are you not placing them?
Week 11. Take a look at the current standings. Rashad and I went over this last week, but we didn't put any bets down. He's currently at 7-1. I lie at
I think that's
8,
pretty good. Like, I mean,
it's 500.
man.
I'm at 8-7. Jordan, we need a big week. 5-10, bud.
I've been horrible this season.
We need a big week out
How
of
have
you.
your actual bets been going?
Yeah, not the theoretical monopoly money
curious.
bets.
I mean, I'm up in my betting account so far this year.
There you
Not
go.
by much.
there you go.
But, maybe I should start just laying out every single parlay that I've won. I won't.
Well, we got football starting here in 8 minutes. We usually do this in the second hour, but because the 10 a.m. Window has a lot more choices for us, we will also get those games.
Yeah,
in
I
here.
got to be honest. I'm not a big fan of the 1 o'clock games today.
1 o'clock games.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Seahawks at Rams, Jets at Bills, Bucks at 49ers. Just those three.
Minnesota, Denver.
Minnesota, Denver. Where's that at? Did I miss that one? Oh, that's Sunday night. That's a Sunday
Yeah.
night game.
Oh,
right
excuse
there.
me, Sunday night game.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not interested in any of these games this afternoon. I'm watching, but still.
Well, I'll start things off. Justin Herbert and the Chargers going to Green Bay, playing against the Packers. Chargers are a 3-point favorite. I'm going to say they cover. The Chargers are a disgusting team, and they lose people money all the time. But I do not believe in the Packers. I do not believe in Jordan Love. I think the honeymoon with that team is it's over. They started 2-3, lost 4 straight. They got an ugly win against the Rams, and then they lost against the Steelers, for God's sakes, who I don't know how they are 6-3. Chargers cover the 3 points at Green Bay.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with a rivalry game today. So the Steelers are gonna visit the Browns. 10 a.m. Kick. Both teams sitting at 6-3. Both teams have won their last 2 games. Last week, Deshaun Watson looked like the Deshaun Watson that we have been,
And now he's out for the year.
and now he's done, right? You know what I mean? So that fast. But again, you got 2 teams that are jockeying for a position in the playoffs. Cleveland is a 2.5-point favorite. Without Deshaun Watson, I don't know if I'll see that. So I'm taking Pittsburgh in points.
To cover
To
the
cover.
2.5.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
Really quickly, let's go. I got 2 NFL and 1 NBA, so I'll throw that NBA in one last. But the Arizona Cardinals, Houston Texans today, 10 a.m. game. I think C.J. Stroud's going to keep rolling. I really don't care that Kyler Murray's going to be back for the Cardinals. I feel like 5.5 is too low. They're going to win by a touchdown. I say Cardinals at home cover the 5.5-point spread against the very terrible, no good, horrible Arizona Cardinals.
Texans cover the 5.5.
CJ Stroud, man, guaranteed rookie of the year in the AFC.
Yeah,
100%.
he has been fantastic this year. Okay, going to me. Cowboys at Panthers.
Shocker.
I'm going for it. 10.5. It's minus 10.5.
Actually, it's moved up to 11.5 in some
my
books
God.
as well.
I'm on ESPN right now. What's Spirit Mountain have it at?
That's a good. Well, BetMGM. Let me check. That's a good question.
What does Alan A have this line at? I'll take the 10.5 though, just because that's what I see on ESPN. Listen, Panthers are terrible. This has trap game all over it, honestly. But so did that Arizona Cardinals game earlier in the season. Cowboys, they walked into that high and mighty. They cannot do that for a second time this year. I don't believe they will. Carolina's not good. They're one of the worst teams in the league. You got a rookie quarterback out there. Take advantage of it. Show why you're as dominant. You dominate bad
11.5
teams.
on BetMGM. Dude,
Give me 10.5, damn it, Jordan.
you want the okay? All right.
I want that extra point, all right?
All right.
Listen, I took a Cowboys double-digit spread earlier this year, and it bit me in the butt, all right? So I need as many points as I can get on this. Cowboys minus 10.5 cover against the Panthers.
Oh man. Okay.
And the Cowboys will now lose. Sorry, buddy.
I'm going Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the 49ers. The 49ers are 13.5 favorite.
Are you going
point
for it?
favorite. No, absolutely not. 13.5 is so much, man. I think, people really there's a reason a lot of spreads are like 3 points, 4.5, stuff like that. Like 13.5 is a lot of points, so I'm definitely taking Tampa Bay to cover.
Tampa to cover 13.5 at San Francisco.
That's crazy. San Francisco hasn't looked great. I think they're 1-3 over their last 4. So, yeah.
They just absolutely demolished the Jaguars last week.
Absolutely.
So
That wasn't
34-3.
fair. That wasn't really a fair game. But
Hey,
yeah.
there's your Popeyes turkey on the TV.
I'm going to get one as soon as we get out of here, folks. They're delicious.
I've
just
heard
saying.
good things about those. I
They're-
love
they're
Popeyes in
amazing.
general.
They're amazing.
Oh my God. Popcorn chicken, yes, please. My second NFL pick is going to be a very, very tasty one. This is a huge line. I think it's way too big for the Raiders on the road. I believe Antonio Pierce. They are a 14-point underdog against Miami today, and I do believe they are going to at least cover that. I will buy a half a point, though, so it's going to get me down to like minus 130 on the odds. But I'm going to buy a half a point. So Raiders to cover 14.5, buying half a point against the Miami Dolphins today. And I'm honestly, that would be my biggest bet. If we were doing a unit competition, I'd probably put 5 or 6 units on that one.
You're laying a fat unit on
A
that.
good old fat one. And I'll talk about my unit size. My unit size is about $7.
Big
I'm going to
units.
say, wait a minute. What? Hold on.
Well, that's everybody's like 2
Where's this going?
units, 6 units. No, I usually just picked a lucky number, a smaller lucky number. My 1 unit is $7 for my betting account. So just so y'all know.
Okay, my last pick. I am going to the game that you can hear right here on 1080 The Fan, the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. Listen, I know Seahawk fans are down bad right now. You did get a good win against the Commanders last week, but you cannot be a dog to the Rams in LA. Am I missing something in this game? The Rams are a 2-point favorite.
It's a weird one.
I don't know. I think that's probably a typo.
So this happened a couple weeks ago when it was the Chiefs-Broncos, and the Chiefs were a 7-point favorite going into Denver, and I was like, dude, there's no way that they don't cover the 7. And then the Broncos won like 26-9 or something like that. I'm getting hints of that here. Like, why are the Seahawks a 2-point dog against the Rams, who have looked trash this year? I'm gonna take the Seahawks to cover the 2 points. They're a 2-point dog in LA. That's not a big flight. Like, I don't get what Vegas sees and why the Rams are the favorite in this one. NFC West, though, can be crazy. Give me Seahawks covering 2 points.
Okay, last one for me. I'm going to stick with the NFL, and I'm going the AFC East matchup, New York Jets visiting the Buffalo Bills.
I
Kind of a
was
rivalry
looking at
game.
the over-under in that one. That's
Yeah.
and I believe Bills are what, 8.5?
Yeah, Bill 8.5 favorites for the Bills. Over under is 39.5.
That's what I'm saying. That's a
39.5.
low over-under
It
for
is.
that spread.
It is. So I don't know. The Bills have been up and down, mostly down lately. But that's where the Jets live, is down, so
Right now, yeah.
but 8.5 seems like a lot, but considering they're playing the Jets, I'm gonna take that for the Bills.
Damn.
I know, right? But it's the Bills.
After firing their offensive coordinator.
I think they're due. I think usually after teams fire like somebody big like that, look at the Raiders. Like usually they have a big week following that, and so I'm thinking after a new offensive coordinator kind of puts in some working things, maybe it can be different.
All right, my final pick's an NBA pick. I actually teased it during my last update. Thunder Blazers today.
Oh, boy.
It's a tasty one. Thunder on the road, favored by 6.5. I cannot believe that they're getting that few points. I do believe that they will win by 7 on the road. OKC's been amazing. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a stud, and they're loaded. Chet Holmgren's been doing all right.
Should be an MVP candidate.
The Thunder are just way better than the Blazers, and I mean, I don't even know if they played yesterday. Frankly, I don't care.
The Blazers?
No, I know the
the
Blazers
Thunder?
didn't play yesterday. I'm wondering if the Thunder did. Maybe that's the reason the line is so low, but
Coming
no
off
way.
of a second of a back-to-back. They did because I believe Chet and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they combined for like 73 points last night. Yes, they did.
Don't care. No,
130, 123 victory over Golden State. It was in Golden State, so that's not a far travel for them. Jeez, Chet Holmgren, 36 and 10
Yeah,
last
and-
night.
Yeah, he's so good.
We're still in November, so I'm not thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Chet's
gift
nasty.
that face from Joe. Yeah, no, we're still in November, so I don't think the legs are going to be too bad on the second of a back-to-back after like an hour-and-a-half flight up here. No, they'll be all right. So yeah, cover 6.5. That's my final pick. Thunder over the Blazers tonight.
All right, that's Who Do You Love? It is now 10:01, which means you are probably flipping the TV to NFL Red Zone, but I believe you will stay here and roll with us for hour number 2 because we got to talk about the Oregon Ducks getting a big win in Arizona State, the national landscape, what the college football playoff is looking like at this point because there's been a lot of changes on the coaching staff for one team and in the quarterback room for another. So we got a lot to get to. Hour number 2, Football Sunday. Rashad Taylor, George Schultz, Joe Fisher, right here, 1080 The Fan.
Portland Perks.
Head to Portland Perks for an amazing deal at Wildlife Safari. Admission for 2 for just $28.75. Wildlife Safari is just south of Roseburg and a fun adventure for the whole family. Limited quantity available only at PortlandPerks.com.
Save thousands. Be advised. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to save thousands on a hot tub and swim spa. Final day. Portland Expo Center. Save thousands. Be advised. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to save thousands on a hot tub and swim spa. Final day. Portland Expo Center. 18-month interest-free financing. Brand new 2023 inventory. Ready for immediate delivery. Portland Expo Center. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Portland Expo Center. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Come see the revolutionary new swim spa in action at exceptional prices. Portland Expo Center. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Portland Expo Center.
Jordan Schultz.
Feeling sad behind the glass right now.
Yeah. I mean,
That didn't take long, did it?
listen, there's still a lot of time in the game. There are 4 quarters, and they're literally a minute and a half.
Shut up.
Dude, I'm trying to hype you up here. It's one play. It's a minute and a half, okay?
I don't care. When you start the game like that, when you make a pick and then all of a sudden, now you have to score 2 touchdowns for that pick to happen.
Yeah, Kyler Murray
God
hits a bomb
dang
to start
it!
the game. But the Cardinals
Son of a...
Cardinals are wearing fresh all whites today.
Yeah, those are dope.
Their all white unis are looking real clean. I'll give them that. But I digress. Let's talk some Ducks. Because as we mentioned earlier in the show, Oregon going to the state of Arizona in late fall, autumn, doesn't bode well. I would love to see the record over the last 10 to 15 years of just Oregon in the state of Arizona because too many losses. Too many losses have happened there, and seasons have been ruined down in Arizona. So I said a couple weeks ago, heading into the USC game, that I was more concerned about Oregon versus Arizona State than I was against USC because of just the history. It wasn't so much like, I mean, for God's sakes, you saw Arizona State yesterday. Their running back was throwing more passes than their quarterback was for the majority of that game. So that was the state of that team. They were down bad. But weird things happen. I mean, early in that game, we saw it. The Arizona State was pulling out some funky stuff, making some plays, playing wildcat, and they were getting some chunks. So it started off a little uncomfortable. But as we've seen this season, this Ducks offense, it's otherworldly. Like what Bo Nix and what they did in that first half yesterday, we've seen this team put up points. We ain't seen them do that. Was it 35-42 in the first half?
Yeah, it was something stupid. Hold on, let me see exactly what it was.
No, 6 touchdowns, 42 points.
42
They
in the
only
first
it
half.
was the Ty Thompson touchdown. I
Was
got
the
like
only
6 names
extra
going
one.
through my head.
Yeah.
And basically a couple of who cares scores on the other end for Arizona State. That was it.
Just unreal. Like
The
that.
Ducks had their first scoreless quarter in the third, and it didn't matter.
Well,
of the
and
season.
the one touchdown that it was, I believe, the second touchdown of the day for the Ducks, but it was kind of like the epitome of what was happening, what occurred, and what was going to happen was that little screen pass that they had to Patrick Herbert that went 40-something. Like, he had 2-3 linemen running downfield that walked into the end zone with him. Like, they were his blockers, and they kind of kept looking around trying to find someone to block.
Bodyguards.
They
man.
pushed a couple dudes, and then at that point, they're like, okay, and they walked into the end zone with Patrick.
They look like security.
No,
just
Jackson
kind of
Powers-
helping them across the line.
Powers Johnson came through the end zone like a finish line, breaking a tape. It was
Dude.
fantastic.
So, I mean,
Big
like,
guy doing that.
and it got to a point in that game where it was just touchdown. There's another touchdown.
Looked old school.
Another touchdown. It was just like, this is what needed to be done. Not win, but win decisively, win very, very, very good. Like, I mean, compared to Washington, like I said, Washington was 15-7 against this Arizona State team at home, struggled with them. And here we are 2 weeks removed from that. And this Oregon team just absolutely mopped the floor with them. Shout out to the friends that were in attendance down in Tempe. I had a couple of friends watching that game, so I'm glad that they got to witness that. But yeah, I mean, just style points. That was the most important thing to come of this, is that, yeah, you got the W, but you did it in a fashion that looks really, really good to the committee.
Yeah, I'm watching the game and I'm like, all right, man, I got to go to the store really fast. Let me get up, run to the store, and I'll come back and, keep watching the game. I leave, the score is 7-0. I come back and the score is 21-0. That fast. Like, what the hell? It just happened. And then by the time the second quarter is over, Bo Nix has 4 touchdowns, 440,
I think he had
400
5
yards,
at
and then
halftime.
and a rushing touchdown. Like,
Possibly
listen.
He didn't have a rushing, but I think he had 6 at halftime.
Did he have 6?
I think he had 6 passing touchdowns, and then then he got the 7th right after halftime, and then that's when they pulled him.
My gosh, man! Like, so it says he had 6 total touchdowns in the game, which was just insane. He did this in the first half. Like, when we talk about great players and we talk about, like, it's almost kind of like a Paul Bunyan-esque kind of feel when you talk about the things they did, right? When you hear people talk about what Walter Payton did or what Joe Montana would be able to do in like a quarter or a half. Like Bo Nix can say, I threw 6 touchdowns, 400 yards in a half. I didn't even play the second half.
Yeah, my bad. I thought he had a
the
7th out there, but
We dominated the team. Like, I mean, and he didn't miss a beat. He missed 5 passes on 29 throws. That's the type of stuff that gets you the Heisman Award. That right there is what does it for you. When they look back, it's always good to have that ugly game that you won late. I.e., what's the when USC did the push of Matt Leinart into the
bush push.
Yeah, the bush push into the end zone. Like, that's a moment that's going to live. Tim Tebow's jump pass to seal the game at the end. Like, those are the things that you look at and say, man, those are great. And I think Oregon, they still need to have one of those gutted out games. Hopefully that'll be Pac-12 championship and other stuff like that. But what Bo Nix did last night I think that was his stamp on his Heisman. Like, this is my award. Like, there would have to be a massive, and I'm knocking on some type of wood.
There's a little nightstand table over there.
I can't reach it now, but
do it during the break.
There would have to be a massive meltdown for Bo Nix for him to lose his Heisman Award.
Well, that's what I wrote it down before the show. Wanted to ask you guys, like, does a performance like this against Arizona State with 1 game left to go, because I believe they do the Heisman announcement, is it the week of the conference championship games, or is it the week after the conference championship games? I'll have to look at the calendar. But I mean, like, regardless of how that all plays out schedule-wise, is it done? Like you said, if Bo Nix just goes and craps the bed next week against Oregon State and, like, has his worst game of the season, throws multiple picks, like, I think that's a moment where then the committee, the Heisman voters are looking at it like, dear God, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be real, next week, Oregon is not, they ain't in the Pac-12 championship game. Arizona can still go. And Oregon State is playing spoiler. So if Oregon State, sure enough, goes and does that and makes Bo Nix look pedestrian in a game that is absolutely vital to the postseason success of the Ducks, like, then what do we do?
Yeah.
So is it locked up, or do you even foresee that happening? The chances of Bo Nix playing that poorly to lose the Heisman at this point? But also, when you look around the nation, who else do you got? I mean, JJ McCarthy. Stop. JJ McCarthy is, that team runs the ball at any, opportunity that they can. We've seen Penix over the last few weeks.
Penix. He's really probably the only other person in the conversation. It's clearly not Caleb Williams anymore. And so Penix is probably the only other person realistically in the conversation at this point. So it's a 2-man Pac-12 race. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they threw in somebody from, the SEC.
Because
it's the
Jaden
SEC.
Daniels is still up there.
Yeah,
Actually, his game yesterday
was great. Yeah.
I always forget. I keep forgetting about Jaden Daniels. Yeah, at this point,
well, and LSU kicked the snuff out of a cupcake last night, unfortunately. So
half of the SEC did.
Yeah, exactly. It was a late season, big game for LSU, but it allowed Jaden Daniels to put up massive numbers. So unfortunately, throwing for 413 yards, 6 touchdowns against Georgia State, apparently in a lot of people's minds equates to what Bo Nix did against Arizona State, because Bo Nix now, last week, this is from USA Today as of an hour ago. Last week, Bo Nix was minus 150 to win the Heisman. Now he's still top of the odds, plus 110. But look who's moved up. Last week, Jaden Daniels was 4th all the way down, plus 700. Now, right at Bo Nix's heels at plus 140, you guys. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, with this, you know what, Rashad? This morning, your knowledge was correct. Yeah. But as you said, throwing that SEC guy in, that is also correct.
It just wouldn't make sense for them to not have an SEC. I'm trying to remember the last time there wasn't an SEC player in the Heisman race.
So unfortunately, it's not a 2-man Pac-12 race. I think maybe if Penix has a great game in the Pac-12 championship, he could vault back up there. But it looks like it's between Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. And Bo Nix, he does. I thought last night he had sealed it up and Penix is done. But no, I think Jaden Daniels now is nipping at his heels. So it's going to be a tough one.
And that's crazy because even last night, and as terrible as the game was, and as bad as he played, he still ended the game with 3 touchdowns and no turnovers for Michael Penix Jr. Like, that's the cold part. Like, you have to be immaculate almost at this point in the season as you're trying to win games. So even though they gutted out a tough win against a really good top 15 team, it doesn't matter. And you could still move down the Heisman ladder that fast.
So LSU, they played Georgia State yesterday. That was a big win for them. He threw 6 touchdowns.
Joey Bosa.
Oh,
Or
getting
no, wait,
carted
who-
off.
Are you,
Oh,
dude?
gosh.
Every single bet I've made today,
Squirrel.
you guys are just telling me worst case scenario.
Don't squirrel me
situations
here, okay? So SEC West, LSU right now, I don't think they have a chance to go to the SEC championship game. I think Alabama, they sealed up their spot to do that. LSU will play Texas A&M next week, so he does have one more chance against a conference opponent to look good. And
But a conference opponent that's struggling and just fired their coach.
for sure.
So-
But again, context, right? Like if they play Texas A&M and they win 59-13, and he throws 6 touchdowns, like it's.
He ran for 96 yards, by the way, as well. So I think that might be why. Bo Nix hasn't had to run all season. So, and I do got to give this one to the Heisman voters all over the place. If you've got a multi-threat quarterback as opposed to a quarterback that's just been awesome in the pocket all year, more often than not, the multi-threat quarterback,
gonna be the
especially
winner.
in college football,
Yeah.
is going to be the winner. That's just the way that it's gone since the beginning of the award. And that,
So
I
Bo
can
Nix
accept
just
that.
needs
I
to have
can.
all rushing touchdowns against Oregon State.
I mean, if they want to guarantee him the Heisman, I think Will Stein's going to have to throw in a couple of 20-yard Bo Nix touchdown runs. Unfortunately, yes.
So the Heisman will be announced on December 9th. So then I believe that's a week after the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, December 1st is the
First or
Pac-
second.
is
Yeah,
the
because it would be
Pac-12
on. I think they do it on
championship,
Fridays.
exactly.
On a Friday.
So yeah, it would be the first. Yeah.
So Bo Nix, he has potentially 2 more games to, but so does Michael Penix. And then Jaden Daniels at this point looks like he just has 1 more game. So the Heisman race, definitely not over. I think that's fair to say at this point that with what's at stake still, that it is not over and not sealed up just yet.
It's not, but I think it's Bo Nix to lose at this point.
I think
and
so,
that
yeah.
I'll leave it at that. I don't know if it's necessarily over, but it's definitely Bo Nix to lose.
And I think that's kind of what we're saying is like it would take him essing the bed next week
Some
against
type
Oregon
of
State for
massive,
that to
massive
happen.
meltdown.
A loss to Oregon State,
And looking bad in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it totally. So, all right, moving on. There were some things that happened nationally over the last week in the college football landscape. One involving a coaching staff and one involving a starting quarterback that I want to get to because this could impact the playoff race a little bit, I believe. We'll get to that next here. Football Sunday, right here, 1080 The Fan.
A lot of land comes with a
listen, I came through the house the other night. She had steak and lobster tails ready to go.
Yeah, you don't fumble that bag, bro.
I believe I said this a few weeks.
She had surf and turf ready when you walked in the door.
Yeah.
Oh
I feel
my
like I said
God.
this a few weeks ago, and I don't blame you. It came across probably like super misogynistic in like 1970s, but I was like, dude, I just don't like being a single male for as long as I have. Like, you don't usually go home and there's a meal ready.
No,
Like,
especially
you gotta
not
make,
lobster.
you know,
You got to do that on
Right.
your own.
Like, you usually, so it's been 7 years of me whipping up my own dinner and walking through the door, and I got to do it. And, it's, it would just be
Only
nice
thing-
every once in a while, once a month, if I could just walk in the door and miraculously there'd be some beautiful half-naked lady that's whipping up some food for
That's
me.
the only thing is all if
just once a month. That's
the
all
only
I
thing
ask
that could have
for.
made that better is like a nice some negligee or some
Negligee.
something like
I haven't
that.
heard that word.
I'm
in a
well
long
on
time.
track to being a middle-aged American husband right now. That's all I ask. Once a month, I could just walk through the door.
You'd be you. It sounds
It's
weird.
not so hard.
It sounds weird, but that's really. If we have any any ladies that are listening,
Where's my
that's-
Coors Light?
That's all we really. Yeah, where's my banquet?
You
I
guys
need
are
it
getting
immediately.
dangerously close.
But no,
dangerously close to that line.
No, men, we are incredibly simple.
We're holding
Like,
up
as
a
far
mirror
as the-
to society.
As
okay?
far as the things that we actually
Sure.
want, like, I mean, I know sometimes people think that women might think that we want like all these complicated things, but it's really,
oh no,
it's really not. Like, but little things like that come home and there's food done that
Just
you don't
warm
have to
food.
grill or season or
Warm
anything
food.
like that. It's like, yo, that's awesome.
It's like I said, simple man. Simple.
Now, don't just give me like a bowl of Fruit Loops and like, oh, I was thinking about you. Here you go. Cool.
I mean,
But after a long day of
I'm
work,
smashing
and
those Fruit
stuff, like,
Loops
I'm
for
knocking
sure.
them down. But after a long day of work and everything like that, like, hey man,
You sound like Michael Scott, like the opening of the season where Jan just moved in with him, and he's like, well, she bought the milk.
She made me breakfast. She made me breakfast. Oh well, she bought the milk. It's soy.
There you go.
Oh God. So some things happened within the last week and within 24 hours in the college football national landscape. Listen, so many moving parts with this Jim Harbaugh Michigan thing. We'll get to that in a second. But the bigger story to me is Florida State losing their starting quarterback, Jordan Travis. I don't know if this is me just overhyping things, but I mean, the committee has to take this into account, right? Like, one of the best teams, the fourth best team in the country, just lost their most important player, the dude who handles the ball in every possession on offense. And quite frankly, Jordan Travis, he's been having a great year. He's looked fantastic for Florida State. Don't look up the video.
Don't do it. Don't.
Unless you are a sick, twisted human being that likes
So
to
go
look
look at the video.
It is
when you
straight-
tell me don't look at the video. Of course, I have to see it. Don't watch Two Girls,
It
One
is
Cup.
straight
I
out of-
have to see it now.
Oh, God.
That is
Dang it! I have
That's
to see it.
that is the
Why did
far
you
end
have
of
to
the
go
spectrum.
I'm just
That's
saying, whenever you
the
tell
worst
me don't watch something, of course I'm
example.
going to be like, well, now I have to see
I
it.
just had flashbacks like I was a nom.
We
Like,
all did it, right?
no.
Everybody in this room, they were told you don't watch the video. What's
Remember the
first thing
reaction
we all
videos
went and
on
did?
YouTube? That was YouTube for a while. Was reaction videos to that?
Still
kind
kind of is. I mean,
You're not
So when
you're
you
not
tell me
wrong.
not to watch the injury, I'm like, I have to see it now.
listen, if
it's
you like broken legs going the other way, then have
It's
at it.
straight out of MTV Scarred. Don't that if you've seen that show, you know that reference. So
Yeah.
buyer beware.
I do remember that show.
So,
I'm Jacoby Shaddix. This is Scarred. Sorry. Anyways.
lead singer of Papa Roach, I believe it was.
Yeah. Bust my life into pieces. This is my
I
last
could totally see Jordan.
resort.
That's what he was rocking out to in 2000.
Suffocation.
Hey, I saw them at
no bleeding.
KUFO Rock Fest back
Did
in
you
like
really?
02, 03. Yeah, my parents took me.
Was it lit?
It was dumb lit, fam.
I can already imagine.
No cap.
I'm coming back with Last Resort. Wait, no, I can't. That song has a swear word in it. Never mind.
We've probably got it in the system. We got a clean one. So,
Oh, hopefully.
It's a radio station.
I mean, is Florida State, like, I asked Rashad this during the commercial break, and I hate throwing out these hypotheticals because it involves Washington winning the rest of their games, but I have to. Washington wins out. They win the Apple Cup. They win the Pac-12 championship game. Florida State, they're locked into the ACC championship game against Louisville. That is locked in. Those two are playing each other.
Right.
Florida State will be playing Florida next week, a down Gators team, which I hope that changes. I love it when Florida's good. I think that's
Me
something
too.
that hopefully can change here soon. So
Florida
they
and Miami are the two teams I'm like, man, I enjoy when they
Miami
play.
could stay down a little longer. Florida, So they play Florida, and then they'll play Louisville. Florida State, they went out. So you got an undefeated ACC champion. You have an undefeated Pac-12 champion. One has their star starting quarterback. One doesn't. Do you put in Washington over Florida State? Not just for that reason, but again, when you look at overall conference, Pac-12 is better than ACC. We can all agree on that. What do you do? I mean, I feel like the Jordan Travis injury, like, that does change how the committee views how good a team is.
Because now you're looking at the team, the total team.
Unless this dude comes in and fills in for Jordan Travis and, like, lights it up for Florida State the next 2 games, then at that point you can kind of be like,
yeah, unless Jameis Winston is about to come to Florida State.
Weymouth Johnston.
Yeah, seriously, like, so
with a mustache.
Unless one of those guys, I know, right? Unless one of those guys is going to come there, I think it should be, probably would be Washington, because for the thing you just mentioned, without Jordan Travis there, you all of a sudden you're not the same team. Like, even if you bring in a replacement, or after you bring in your eventual replacement, that team probably still isn't strong as Washington is. And as much as we talked about Washington kind of regressing as far as their scoring output over the last like 6 weeks or so, they're still undefeated. They've still got the number one in passing as in the whole country is Michael Penix Jr. Actually, crazy part, if you didn't know this, 4 of the top 5 passers in college football come from the Pac-12. Just in case people didn't know that, 4 of the top 5 passers in the country
was that Nix, Williams, Penix, and Shedeur?
Close.
Because Shadeur's got to have yards at least.
So it's Penix.
Fafita hasn't been playing long enough.
It's Nix.
Good point. But he's been a baller this year too.
It's Caleb Williams and Cameron Ward.
I see.
He's still putting, he's
putting up numbers.
That offense is going to give you numbers,
And a lot of those touchdowns are garbage touchdowns.
No, they are. But shoot, when you look at that list of top 5, passing quarterbacks by passing yards, like, his name is right there, which is crazy to say. But I do think because of what Michael Penix Jr. has done for most of the season, and because their team is still right there, because they played in really a juggernaut of a Pac-12 this year, I think the nod would be to give it to Washington. Like, if it weren't, then clearly something's up.
What say you, Jordan? If you get undefeated Washington, undefeated Florida State, let's say both of them, they win the games and they look convincing, or they just look competent, and it's like, yeah, Florida State, they're rightfully undefeated. It wasn't fluky last 2 games. Same thing with Washington. They win their 2 games. Like, what do you do?
Well, I hated the way that, like, the BCS would vault teams up in the past for what, seemingly was, like, no reason. I mean, frankly, I don't know if y'all saw
Beep boop, team good.
I don't know if y'all saw
up 3 spots.
God. If you don't know, saw the hypothetical BCS rankings or not this last week, but Oregon was ranked below Alabama. If we were still in a BCS world, that's what we'd be living in. It's like sad. So I'm going to go on the knowledge that we hopefully try to use now. And at this point, Florida State has been above Washington all year, right? So if they both win, that's where you got to go. You can't, the quarterback injury, I understand that this is why we bring humans into this situation, but the quarterback injury should not prevent a team that has worked their asses off all year to get to this point. Mike Norvell, he got a dumpster fire when Willie Taggart was fired. That was a no program culture.
It's one of the better
culture
turnarounds.
Program, excuse me.
He did exactly what Jimbo couldn't.
Exactly, and he did it in 3 seasons. I mean, they're now fighting for a national championship. So, no, you can't take that away from them just because. And if anything, the devastating injury, the gruesomeness of it and the way that it happened and all of the drama surrounding that, I think that adds to the argument, frankly, that they should get that spot.
Yeah,
so just don't put Washington ahead of them because of some stupid injury. They haven't been there all year. That shouldn't be a reason to vault them over.
And part of the reason that they were, ranked so high to start the season is because they had a great recruiting class and because you had kids that, hopefully can come in and in case something like this happens, potentially come in and kind of take over for you. And so that's the one thing when I was talking to my lady the other day and she was kind of like, how do they decide who's what and who's when the season starts? And I was like, well, a lot of it is based on who's coming back, who your coaches are, who this is, and who you have coming in as your new recruits. And so
transfers now.
And so hopefully you would think a school like Florida State whose recruits typically really well, has somebody that can come in and, potentially play hero for the Seminole squad. But I don't know, man. I understand when you talk about the totality of the team, and this is why I kind of end up kind of siding with you a little bit, Joe, is because the reason that if Washington State, if UW didn't have Michael Penix Jr. as their quarterback right now, and it was just Earl Jones, then I don't know if we would.
Hey, Earl Jones was a 4-star, okay?
Well, one of the Earl Jones was Darth Vader, so if he's playing quarterback for
that's James.
Yeah,
Earl
I'm
Jones.
saying, hey, yeah. Well, so if he's playing quarterback for Washington, cool. But I mean, we don't know Earl Jones like that, though, right? We don't know what he can
jersey's
do.
gonna be tight on that for
Yeah,
him.
we don't know what he can do. But Michael Penix Jr. is a reason that Washington is ranked so high. Like, that's probably the reason that Florida State was ranked as high as they were, is because the quarterback, they were getting good play from their quarterback position. Without that quarterback, it's a different team probably. And so I would probably go with understanding that, you're talking about the team that's worked so hard and everything, but the team, the totality that's worked hard and still there probably should be the team that's granted, permission to go to the next round or go to the playoff.
Well, now I have the image of James Earl Jones in a Washington Huskies uniform.
Young James Earl Jones could have played.
I think there's like a Family Guy clip of James Earl
Yes.
Jones in the Darth Vader costume, and his fat is just like spilling out all over. And they're like, "Yeah, James, we just want you to do the voice, if you could, please."
That is impossible.
Yeah, some Austrian bodybuilder was the original guy in the suit. No, all the accounts from being on
Arnold
set.
Schwarzenegger?
No, kind of sounded like him though, because it was a weird voice that he would do from inside. He was like trying to do
Luke,
some.
I am your father.
Would Darth Vader
Exactly.
be as cool if he didn't have that voice?
Oh no, the Dart. No, of course.
No,
not.
I mean
It's
like Darth,
iconic.
like James Earl Jones. That voice made Darth Vader. Like even with all the cool stuff, you put another voice there, it's just not as cool.
Good old Darth Father there.
Luke, get to the X-wing fighter, Luke.
Yeah, it's the people really were surprised by that reveal. Luke, I'm your father. Vader literally means father in German. Like,
Oh,
Yep.
really?
yeah.
Yes.
So
it's
like,
not a surprise.
yeah,
But you have to say it more German. It's
yeah,
Vader.
Vader.
Yeah,
What an angry language.
it really is, man.
that's-
And they could be saying the nicest stuff,
All right,
man.
we're pulling a prime time. We're way up against
Yeah,
it.
we are. We're just going.
Yeah, we don't
down.
have 4 hours. Yet. We just
Yeah,
gotta
we
get-
don't-
Next up.
Yeah, we
Oh.
don't have 4 hours, 5 days a week.
Oh, we
so-
got it. We heard about it from the boss man this week too.
Oh boy, the email was sent. All right, come back to it next. Let's talk about this Michigan Harbaugh stuff, because we want to talk about college football playoff teams. This is one that is one of the top 4 teams, and boy, things are things are getting sticky up there up in Ann Arbor. We talk about that next, but first, Jordan Schultz, Sports Center update.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, the Ducks getting their 10th win of the season, beating the Sun Devils last night 49-13. Bo Nix setting a Ducks record with 6 touchdown passes in the first half. Oregon turning around now to get ready for the Civil War this Black Friday. The Beavers licking their wounds after a 22-20 loss to the Huskies in a rainy, wet mess. Michael Penix running for 2 touchdowns, throwing for another. The clincher ended up being a snap over the head of the Beavers punter that they had to kick out for a safety. In the NFL, the Seahawks in Los Angeles taking on the Rams this afternoon. Seattle a 2-point underdog. Coverage getting going right here on the Fan following Sports Sunday at 11 a.m. Kickoff set for 1:25 on Fox. And speaking of the NFL, looks like the morning slate in action right now. Let's take a look. The Browns lead the Steelers 7-0 at the end of the first. Bears over the Lions at the end of the first quarter, 7-0. Chargers lead the Packers just about end of the first there, 3-0. Dolphins lead the Raiders 7-3, 2 minutes left in the first quarter there. Giants over the Commanders 7-3, 2 minutes left in that one. And the Cowboys lead the Panthers 7-0 in the second quarter. It looks like the Cardinals and Texans are now tied at 7, 2 minutes to go in this first quarter there. It looks like the Cardinals, though, are they have the ball again and are on the Houston 34, so they're going to be trying a field goal if they don't convert this third down. And the Jaguars lead the Titans as well, getting going in the second quarter in a couple of seconds, 7-0 in Jacksonville. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college games every week at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon, 1080 The Fan.
Are you ready to step up your grilling game? Grillworks Supply Company in Beaverton is ready to make you the ultimate pit master, carrying top brands in barbecue like Napoleon, Pits and Spits, or pizza ovens from
have good players. It's a good program. Jim Harbaugh is a winning coach, been a winning coach in Stanford, San Francisco, Michigan, wherever he goes. So this is not good. They're going to get in trouble. But as far as like, is this going to affect anything postseason wise, how the committee looks at them? Again, it's not a computer anymore. These are human beings looking at these teams objectively. Do you think there's going to be anyone in that room that gets all high and mighty and is like, well, I don't know, guys. Can we look at this?
No.
Can we look at this Michigan schedule and really take it at face value
Heavens
if
no.
with all this going on around them?
Absolutely no. Like if we were talking, if this were,
Heavens no.
if this were Iowa, if this were any other team in the Big Ten, I think they would be taking, or any other team that wasn't Ohio State or Michigan. I think
So
this
you
would be
think
a big
it's
thing.
a matter of like brand wise, like
I think it's sweet moolah, and there's only so many brands in college football like Michigan, and this is exactly where you wanted Michigan and Ohio State to be, is somewhere hovering around the top 4 or 5 in the country. So no, in the same way, I think if this were Alabama, I don't think we would be talking about it. If this were Georgia, I don't think we would. Any team that's going to bring money, like if this were Cincinnati, the year that Cincinnati was doing Cincinnati stuff, then I'd be like, okay, that's different. But I mean, because there's not a lot of money to come out of Cincinnati like that. Not that it's not a lot. There's clearly a lot. Not as much as Michigan, though. And so because it's Michigan, because Sharon Moore still has them playing really well, at this point, no, I don't think they're going to figure out a way to take them to like, the most that can happen is I can see Harbaugh being suspended for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so I think it has been 3 games they've given them the suspension.
Yeah.
So that would be this last yesterday.
And guess what Michigan's doing in the meantime? Clobbering teams, in the meantime. So I mean,
all for Jim Harbaugh. Rest in peace, man. I mean,
Yeah.
lost but not forgotten.
yeah, that's kind of how it feels like. I feel like they're doing this. They're winning this one for the Gipper.
Yeah.
Like this is all for, you say this about our coach. This is a big FU to everybody else. And so I still think Michigan they're clearly they're ranked number 2. Third.
Oh, thank the Lord. Oh, thank Coach Harbaugh. Love you, man. Love the shit out of you, man. This is for you. This is for you. For this university, the president, our AD. We got the best players, best university, best alumni in the country. Love you guys. These guys right here, man. These guys did it. These guys did it. Talk to him, man. Love you.
Oh, man. That's somebody that loves his. Whenever you hear players, coaches get emotional.
That's Champ Kind right here.
Yeah.
I missed your Musk.
Yeah, I missed
your Sen. When this is all over,
together.
we're getting an apartment together.
That's exactly how that was.
I just set the drink down, Champ.
Yeah, I mean, let me just take the next couple plays out. Yeah, that's pretty much where Coach Sharon Moore was. But you see that in its passion, and for them to come out, and mind you, that came after a game that Michigan just absolutely clobbered, the competition. And so, I mean, I don't think anything's going to change. Again, if this were a team that didn't have his history behind them, like a school like Michigan or Ohio State does, then I think it would be much, much easier. The best thing that can happen to them is they lose 2 games. They don't have to make that decision of where to put them. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, sorry, some things kind of get stirring up the old skull there.
Maybe just not talk for a while. Yeah.
All right. Well, thankfully, we're basically done talking here in 12 minutes. So one more segment here on Football Sunday. We'll wrap it up here.
Soft J.
Apparently, you just run for extended amount of time. All right. Football Sunday coming back here next on 1080 The Fan.
November is a great time to get a new